Good morning. I'd like to call today's hearing of the Maricopa County Board of Adjustment to order. Mr. Holm, would you do roll call, please?
I will do that, Mr. Chairman. Member Schwartz.
Present.
Member Ward.
Present.
Member Cardin.
Present.
Vice Chair Person.
Present.
And Chairman Loper.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, that is a quorum.
Fantastic. We'll move on to the minutes for February 16th, 2023. Any comments, additions, changes? Seeing none, we'll consider those minutes approved and move on to the next item, which is the announcements. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Open Meeting Law ARS 38-431. Agendas are available within 24 hours of each meeting in the Maricopa County Planning and Development Office and are also available on the Planning and Development website 1 week prior to the hearing at www.maricopa.gov/planning. With respect to the hearing process, cases will be considered in the order they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed to by the board. For each case, the applicant will be given a set amount of time to present their testimony. Any witness wishing to give testimony on a particular case shall notify the board of such interest. This shall be done by filling out a speaker's card. Matt, if you wouldn't mind holding one of those up, that's if you're in attendance in person, or registering your desires to comment as noted on the published agenda. Also, at the appropriate time for each case, the chair will ask those attending in person and online who wish to speak to a case to raise their hand by clicking on that icon on the webinar screen. Staff will provide the chair with the names of persons who have registered and noted desire to comment, and those registered participants who have raised their hand. Next slide, please. The chair will call on each named participant one at a time. Such testimony shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. However, the actual amount of time allowed for testimony shall be at the discretion of the board chair. The chair will conduct the hybrid in-person and virtual public hearing according to the bylaws and according to the rules established by the chair regarding public comment. Votes will be done by roll call vote only, and the chair will verbally identify the specific board members that are responsible for all motions and seconds. Move on to the withdrawn agenda. Matt?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. There are 2 items on your withdrawn agenda this morning. The first one is BA 2023-005 for the Pierce property. And then the second one is actually agenda item number 4, V 2022-01327. That has also been withdrawn per a signed compliance agreement. There's no action required from the board on the withdrawn agenda.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there are 2 items on your consent agenda today. They include BA 2022-062 for the Reeser property in District 3, property located at 37607 North 31st Avenue in the North Phoenix area. This is a request for a variance to permit proposed hillside disturbance of 8,939 square feet outside the lot's principal building envelope, where it would be otherwise prohibited pursuant to the Maricopa County Zoning Ordinance. And then the second part of that is a proposal to locate the sewage disposal system outside of the principal building envelope, where again it would be otherwise prohibited. Staff finds that the request does meet the statutory test for variance approval. The second item is BA 2023-007 for the Glimker or Glimsher property. I apologize for mispronouncing that if I did. It's also located in District 3. Property is located at 4201 East Upper Ridge Way in the Paradise Valley area. And this is the variance to permit new hillside disturbance of 9,200 square feet outside of the lot's principal building envelope, where it would otherwise be prohibited pursuant to ordinance. Staff finds that this request does meet the statutory test for variance approval. And that's it for your consent agenda. We'll be happy to try and answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Matt. Are there any questions or comments from any of the board members on the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion? And a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
We have a motion for approval by member Schwartz. Is there a second?
Second.
I believe Mr. Carden said second. Is that correct, Craig? Yep. We have a second by member Carden. All in favor, or Rosalie, or Matt, if you could please do the roll call vote. Also want to announce that member Ward's joined the hearing.
Okay. Member Schwartz,
Yes.
member Ward,
Yes.
member Carden,
Yes.
Vice Chair Person,
Yes.
and Chairman Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that is an approval of the consent agenda by a vote of 5-0.
Fantastic. We'll move on now to the regular agenda, item number 5, and I will turn that over. Staff. Thank you, Mr. Shum.
All right, thank you, Chairman Loper and members of the board. Thank you and good morning. Case BA 2023-002 is for the Straight Living Trust property, which includes a request to obtain a variance for a proposed detached storage shed. Next slide, please. The subject site, parcel 211-50048S, is zoned rural 43 and located at 38314 North 15th Avenue near 19th Avenue and Joy Ranch Road in the Daisy Mountain Newer area. The parcel is 1 acre and features a single-family residence. The parcel is flat and features xeriscape landscaping similar to neighboring properties. The property is of a pentagonal home plate shape. Access to the site is provided by way of a 20-foot easement, which ends in a cul-de-sac that intersects with the 2 east lot lines. For this reason, the 2 east lot lines are effectively front lot lines with setbacks measuring 40 feet from each per MCZO Article 503.4.1. The planned shed would be located 22 feet from one of these front lot lines, hence the variance request. Next slide, please. Okay. Here are some photographs of the subject property showing the proposed shed location. The one on the left is looking east toward the shed site, whereas the 2 on the right are looking south. Next slide, please. Same thing here. The 2 on the left are also looking south, whereas the 2 on the right are looking west-northwest, with the shed being proposed just on the opposite side of that wall. Next slide, please. And this last photograph is taken from the spot where the shed would be built, looking west toward the rear yard. Next slide, please. So this last slide shows an aerial of the property with the shed being proposed just north of where the car is parked in the driveway. Staff notes that there appear to be viable alternative locations where the shed could be built and still conform to MCZO regulations. For example, the shed were built 60 feet due west of its planned location. It would meet the requirements for accessory structures without displacing existing vegetation. While this would place the shed partially within the rear yard setback, MCZO Article 1106.2 allows this, so long as it doesn't come within 3 feet of the rear lot line, and all accessory structures don't occupy more than 30% of the yard. Even with the 2 other existing accessory structures factored in, the shed would meet these requirements. Alternatively, if the shed were built 25 feet further north and 35 feet further west, it would manage to avoid displacing any vegetation and avoid encroaching on any setbacks. Staff notes that there has been public comment received on the request, with 1 in opposition arguing that there is no hardship present on the lot to justify a variance to the zoning regulations. Based upon what the applicant has submitted and the staff analysis, staff finds that the request fails to meet the statutory test for variance approval. The applicant has failed to demonstrate that there is a peculiar condition facing the property because there is ample space on which building a small shed would be physically feasible without encroaching on the required front yard setback and without encroaching within 3 feet of either the rear or north side lot lines. The applicant has also failed to demonstrate that strict application of the MCZO to the property has caused an undue physical hardship, preventing further development. There are alternatives available, such as relocating the shed several feet west until it is completely outside the front yard. And finally, the applicant has failed to demonstrate that the peculiar condition, physical hardship, is not self-created in the line of title, in that any gates, fencing, landscaping, and/or the 2 travel trailers currently stored on the property could be removed or relocated as necessary to accommodate a detached structure. However, if the board finds that the applicant has proven entitlement to the variance, then the board must state on the record the basis for that determination with findings and conclusion in a motion to grant the relief sought. In such event, staff would offer the following to memorialize the variance approval. Item A, variance approval establishes a 22-foot east setback line for APN 211-50048S. And at this time, I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great presentation. Are there any questions of staff at this time? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is the applicant or their representative here in the audience or online? Yeah, if the applicant isn't here, I think we verified that a couple of months ago that in our bylaws, that's an automatic continuance. Did you have any contact with the applicant, Nick?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, they're not online.
Okay,
Yes, I did have contact with the applicant. The applicant is not the property owner. He was working on behalf of the property owners. I contacted him yesterday to verify that he did receive the agenda. He told me that he wouldn't be in attendance, but he confirmed with me that the property owners would.
oh, and maybe, is there anyone here on this particular item? That's the only one left on our agenda. All right, and I'm looking for a motion to continue. I think Matt, were you about to say something? Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to continue this case to the next scheduled meeting.
To the next work scheduled meeting, I have a motion by member Schwartz. Is there a second?
Second.
Friendly amendment. When is our next hearing date? April? It's either the 20th or the 13th.
Chairman, it's Rachel Applegate. It's April 13th.
April 13th.
All right, so I'll amend my motion to the April 13th Board of Adjustments hearing.
All right, we have the amended motion by member Schwartz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by member Person. All in favor, or I'm sorry, Matt, when you get an opportunity, do
Yeah.
roll call.
Absolutely. Member Schwartz,
Yes.
member Ward,
Yes.
member Carter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Person,
Yes.
and Chairman Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that is a vote 5-0 to continue this particular case to the April 13th board hearing.
Fantastic, thank you. That's the end of our regular agenda. Is there anything that the staff wishes to talk to us about, or is there a member of the board who wants to bring up something to staff?
Nothing from staff.
All right, seeing none, we will adjourn. I think that's a record.
Thank you. Record time.